In the first responder life, it is always important to strive to have the best equipment, the best training, and the best resources available. But if you try to keep up with the Joneses, i.e., other agencies, you'll always find yourself lacking in some regards. That is why it's also important to be thankful for what you have at your agency, because no agency can have everything. In short, be sure to count your blessings. This is Lifeline. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Lifeline 911 with your host, Erica.
Hello.
I am your co host, Gary, and today we are discussing being thankful for what you have at your agency. So, Erica, different agencies will have different amounts of resources available. No agency has an unlimited amount of funds. So, what does what are some of the things that because people always find things to complain about that they don't have,
Sure.
but what are some things that people may take for granted uh, when they're working in, the 911 profession?
One of the things that comes to mind for me is actually probably the intangibles, you know, the the things that don't cost anything. Do you have good colleagues? Do you have good management? Your field responders and the relationships that you may have with them. Um, some agencies are able to pay for bells and whistles, but then they don't have great management or their environment is toxic for one reason or another, right? Or in one of the big things that in my travels is teaching with AEP, I find to be a huge complaint is that they're not able to be paid for their training time. That's a big deal. I get it. But I also remember a time when we weren't paid for our training time. And it became a question of then why do you do it? And that to me starts me to thinking about those those intrinsic motivators. What motivates you from the inside to do what you do, and what are you grateful for? Are you grateful for being a first responder? Are you grateful for the profession that you're in that not everybody can do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's just when I think about that, that's just some of the things that just kind of roll around in my head.
yeah, and I would agree with that. That be thankful for what you have. Um, I was thinking about an employee of mine that is going to be retiring at the end of the month. Um, and, she's worked in this industry for uh, 25 years now. And thinking about, like, you know, she stuck around through a lot of uh, lean times, we'll say,
Yeah.
especially this decade. And how I remember when we had the Snowpocalypse event, which was Ice Storm Uri. Um,
And yet,
like she came in to work. As did a lot of people. Um, some people were not able to. There were no roads to use, but um,
yeah.
uh, some people may have just decided not to come in. But as you said, like the industry that we do, this job is not a job people should go into thinking they're going to become rich or famous,
Really,
uh,
Gary.
yeah, or well liked. Because you're gonna have a lot of vitriol thrown at you over those phones and sometimes the radios on your in your daily life.
That's just one way to put it. Yeah.
And the people that have longevity are those that are doing it because they want to help their community. And, you know, whether you're in a big agency that might have, the latest, as you said, bells and whistles for their, how they, dispatch calls or take in 911 calls, or a tiny agency that, just has two people and maybe they still run on paper. Um,
Yeah.
you know, being thankful for what you have and coming to work because you want to help people is why you stay in the job through the thick and thin, because you know everybody who's done this job long enough knows that at some point or another you're going to get screwed, for lack of a better term. uh, um, it could be any number of things, but why do you keep coming to the job? It's because you're wanting to help people.
Yeah. And you realize too, well, I would say I wanted to help people, but I didn't realize the relationships I would develop once I was in this profession. I didn't understand that it is a culture all its own. And there are things that we do on a daily basis that not other professions do. Because, even though servers don't do what we do, it's the pride in their work. You can sometimes tell when they really do enjoy the work that they're doing. And I'm sure there are things about their workplace that is not perfect, that, maybe they don't get paid as much as they would like, or, you know, whatever it is to a server that would make life so much better. They may not have that, or like the point of sale, you know, equipment may be sketch in some, but they love what they're doing. You can see that in everything they do. I think the same is true for us. While we're mostly unseen and unthought about until something goes terribly wrong, you can tell when we really enjoy the work that we do. It comes across in the service that we provide. And I think that comes from an inside place. I don't think you can't buy that with the best pay, because you have people that make really good money, other agencies out there that make really good money for what they do. But you still find people that are or dissatisfied and unhappy. So I think
Hmm.
it comes from an inside place, and I think that starts with gratitude. And I know we talked about that probably in the last couple of episodes in the last few weeks, but I think it's I think it's just so important for longevity, like the employee that we know that is going to retire here in a matter of about 2 weeks.
Hmm. Yeah, and it doesn't matter how many. I mean, like everybody knows the meme of like, uh, let's throw a pizza party for the employees. That's not really what you know makes people like working where they work. In order to really feel like you enjoy your job, you need to have enough money to kind of live. Um, but B, you need to have a sense of purpose, of fulfillment, and um, really, as you kind of like what you were saying, like you really build a lot of close relationships with people, because it's especially if you're in the industry a long time, because you're going
Yeah,
through, I don't want to say a lot of traumatic events, but you're going through a lot of challenges on the daily. That's kind of your job,
yeah,
and you're working with these people for sometimes 8, 10, 12, 16 hours. um, and so like it kind of makes me think of like organizations like or I guess like a TV show like NCIS or something, where like they've worked together so long and been through so much, they're really close with each other.
yeah,
um, and that's kind of I think the sentiment that you get after, if you really feel that you are not only doing a job but doing a calling, because you build that
yes,
sentimentality with people.
yes, yeah. And there are agencies out there that can throw big parties. We are fortunate enough to have a huge party thrown for us every year during GC Week. And we are, I know that I am, and I think the vast majority, especially those of us who remember a time when that was not the case, we are grateful for that. Um, but for me, the most valuable thing is the relationships at the end of the day. It's the relationships that outweigh the pay, the hours, the weird schedules, the changes, the SOPs that seem to change on the daily and sometimes hourly. It's
Call by call
that's
sometimes.
call by call sometimes. And that's just what does it for me. But I think we have to talk about those places or those people or those feelings that surround not having enough. How do you press through?
Right. And I like if you, as I kind of said in the intro, if you're concerned about keeping up with the Joneses, and what I mean by that is like, oh, this agency over here has this system that does this, or this group over here has this perk that I would like to have. You're always gonna
Hmm.
feel you're always gonna feel behind the eight ball. But when you can
Yeah,
like appreciate what you do have, so maybe one agency is able to have like a training budget where they can send people, to classes, nationally. Um,
that's true.
and
I
your
didn't think
agency,
about that. Yeah,
yeah, and your agency doesn't have that ability. But if you've got a group of people that like, hey, let's get together with the other agencies in the area and we'll put on our own training. You know that
that's true.
there's always solutions to problems when they come up, and being thankful for what you have and figuring out ways to use the resources you do have in innovative fashion um, really can give you a sense of pride, in the work
Yeah,
that you're doing. And I think that's not something you can really put a monetary value on.
I agree. And that's something you said is just really I hadn't thought of it like that, but you're right. If there is an agency out there that doesn't have the money budget to send people to all these different trainings because we're fortunate enough to have a COG, this Capital Air Council of Governments that manages a lot of our external training. They put on these trainings, they bring people in, and it doesn't cost us anything. And there are some agencies similar to that around the country, but we are incredibly fortunate. But if that is not the case for you, I would suggest look around. There's got to be years of experience in your agency or a neighboring agency. Hey, does anybody have any tips, tricks, or experiences that we might be able to learn from?
Hmm.
Sometimes you have to learn to feed yourself for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah, and like staying thankful for what you have is so important in this position, because if you lose that, you're going to become very miserable, and the work's going to become very hard for you to do and very unhappy. I remember one time I went to a training at our COG. I don't remember what the class was, but there was a guy in there who was from a different agency, and he looked like I'm going to call him Eeyore, because
Wow.
that was kind of his mentality. Like he was just like, no,
Wow.
we don't have any way to do this. We have nothing. And like he just like droopy, like he just looked unhappy. And like it can definitely get like that and feel like that if you're not pausing to say, you know what, we don't have the latest and greatest, but
Right.
our pencil sharpener's good. I don't, or just anything like our camaraderie's good. I know that if I need a day off, I can call Frida, and she'll take the day for
Absolutely.
me. Um,
But that goes back to another one of those, what I like to say probably is kind of like an intangible. You know what I mean? You can't necessarily put your hand on it. Money won't pay for it. You can't replace it once it's gone, and that's those relationships. That's definitely one.
hmm.
Now let's tackle one that is directly tied to money, but that can often be tied to money, and that's training. Training for what feels like free. Is it? If you don't get a stipend for it, or if you're not awarded some sort of pay or time, should you still be thankful for the opportunity to have someone to train because that means that somebody's applying for your agency? which means the shortness that you're experiencing all the time may
Hmm.
have a light at the end of the tunnel. Should you refuse to train because there's not, a few pennies, nickels, dollars, whatever attached to it?
Hmm.
And what does that mean?
Right. And I always told my trainers that if you're doing it for the money, you're doing it at a loss every time because
Ain't that the truth?
you're
That's good.
you're never going to be paid uh, what that training is worth. Because the second hardest job or second hardest thing I ever did was, uh, you know, get trained to be a dispatcher. Much harder was training somebody to be a dispatcher because you've got so much that you have to pay attention to. It's like doing 5 times the work, um,
I- Yeah,
and you got to stay a positive cheerleader throughout the whole process. So
ain't that the truth?
um,
Or you should,
yeah,
or you should.
and
Yeah,
if you're doing that just motivated for the money, um, I'm not saying money can't be a factor, but if you're not doing that because you feel like you need to for some reason, or you want to make your center better,
hmm,
your industry better, then you're going to burn out, and you're not gonna have the results that you want. So
yeah,
the if you can get a stipend, that's great. I think every uh, agency that can afford that should absolutely do that because training and experience is worth its weight in gold, and there's no substitution
absolutely.
for it.
None whatsoever. My heart breaks every time I hear about the idea of a tenured person even thinking about leaving, because I'm like, yes, the relationship is important, but I'm watching experience walk out the door. And I think about not only the citizens that might miss out on that experience, the field responders that will miss out on that, but I'm also thinking about the ones coming in that will miss out on the opportunity to sit and learn alongside. And it is just, as a supervisor, I think about, operations and training. I'm grateful for those years of experience of members of our team because they're just irreplaceable in that regard. Can I put another body in the seat? Certainly. But you know how long it's going to take to get however many years of experience that person has?
What is it
Wait
that?
for it.
Yeah.
All of those years.
Yep.
That's how long it takes.
Yeah. As you said before, it takes as long as it takes to get those years, and
That's as long as it takes.
I think um, that more so than having specific perks or privileges or you know extra pizza party days, I think what most people really get uh, upset or hurt over is when they feel like they're not being treated equally or fairly. And because I think if everybody's like, oh, we're all getting the short end of the stick here, that's
Yeah,
one thing. But if you're like,
sure.
I'm getting the short end of the stick and you're getting to coast, that's when it it becomes really, really difficult. So
Bad,
how,
bad
yeah,
feelings.
yeah. So, and I think a lot of times perception is reality, but it's also not reality.
Huh.
So,
Also,
yeah. Um,
I heard that a million times.
right. So if you feel like you're getting shortchanged, you want to bring that up and have that redressed because everybody should
Hmm.
be being treated the same. But
That's good.
how can you kind of I guess work through that?
That honestly, I wish I had a quick answer for that. It is, I think it's a personal thing how you work through those feelings. I I, I think that, I guess a quick answer would be is look around and remember what you have versus what you don't have. If that makes sense. I just because I felt like, okay, well, I won't say the name, but there's an agency that I'm aware of, or a discipline within an agency that has headsets that are wireless. Ah, I I don't even want to tell you. I can't put into words how that makes me feel.
Hmm.
So neglected, so unloved. Because I want a headset that that I can clip on my hip and go all the way to the break room. What?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. There's some days I just settle for everybody's headsets working. Um,
Good point. You know,
um,
good point. I didn't think about it like that. Plug it in and the thing actually does the thing that I needed to do.
yep. And so there are some days where you feel like you know uh, just nobody's equipment's working, and those are the days like you have to be. I have to count my blessings because I'm trying to figure out the solutions to these problems. But I
We
need
could have
to,
those little bitty screens that we used to have instead of the, what are they now? 28, 30, 32, whatever
yeah.
size screens that they are now. But
Hmm.
I remember when they were what felt like 16 inches, but now I'm thankful. I should be thankful.
Yeah.
And not to make it, not to make light of it. No, because for some people it's a big deal, the things that they don't have, and the feelings that come along with that. And you're looking at other agencies, especially the bigger cities versus the smaller PSAPs. But I can promise you this: no matter how green that grass looks on the other side, there's other issues.
Hmm.
There's no
Yeah.
such place where all is well.
Hmm. In fact,
I've not heard of it.
we had an employee who left our agency to go to a different agency because they thought it was going to be a better time, and that employee quickly came back.
Hmm.
Because as you said, the grass is not always greener on the other side. You can look over at the Joneses, and it's like, oh, they have this nice house with these Bluetooth headsets, that you can walk to the break room. But what else are they, having issue with? You know?
Yeah, but what you don't know is that the pipes are all rusted and the water is brown when you
Yeah.
turn the faucet handle. I mean, I'm just saying that's just, and like, we've had people leave and go to other either agencies or other places to work that are similar to what we do. And most of them will tell you when they come back, why'd you come back? It just wasn't the same.
Yeah. Because you do build that camaraderie with people, and
Hmm.
you know when you stop to appreciate what you have, even if you don't have very much, if you're making the most of it, you can be thankful for that because small agencies are, as you said, not going to really have the resources to have all the fancy pants stuff that bigger agencies do. But what they lack in that, they make up for in other ways. They might get to have a little bit more freedom at work. They might be able
That's
to
true.
have fewer hoops and a bureaucracy to jump through,
I hate that.
which
Okay, you got to say that again for the people in the back. This is true. But
um,
what I found in just spending time with and talking with, especially those who are in like the 1, 2, and under 10 seat PSAPs, they they have every they have every bit as much heart, if not more, as big old Austin or Houston or Dallas or anything. And they have, when you sit down and talk to them about their field responders and the citizens, they know they're what we would like to sometimes call frequent flyers, or people that are have special needs in the community. They know them
mhm,
and they pay attention and they look out for them and they give everything they have when they come into work, just like we do. The environment's different. Maybe not as many bells and whistles, maybe not just some big massive center that looks like, you could fit a few of their PSAPs inside just one half of it. But the heart's still there.
right. And that's the important key thing. Why are you doing the job? And kind of going to back to what were talking about at the beginning. You're if you do this job, know you're not going to get the money that you probably deserve for doing the things that you do. But
Not like
that's part of what being a public servant is. Our
exactly.
goal isn't to get rich. It's to help. It's to
It's
go home
true.
at night
Yeah.
feeling good, or in the morning, depending on when you work,
Depending on your shift.
or if you got mandatory. Um, so being thankful for what you have, is key to your happiness, I think, to do the job long term. Because I've
Yeah.
seen people that were not able to stay happy people for long. And honestly, it's probably better for them and their departments if they find a different career path, because it would be a miserably unhappy life to just be so concerned about what you don't have, on top of hearing all of the trauma that you hear every day.
Yes, I think that's true. Agreed. Agreed.
And we are thankful for having you with us today. Erica and I do this podcast because we care about our industry. We want to make it as good as it can possibly be. So we it's not the fame or the glory or the money why we're here. We're here for you guys, and we
Yeah.
appreciate you spending time with us, listening to us, and writing in if you have questions or anything,
Yeah.
or wanting to be on the show. So thank you very much.
Very much. Agreed. Well said, Gary.
And if you like this episode, you can thank us back by leaving a like or a comment down below. Or you could email us at lifeline911podcast@gmail.com.
Yep.
From all of us at Lifeline, thank you. I'm Gary,
I'm Erica.
and we will see you next week.
Thank you for watching our production of Lifeline 911. If you have any questions about today's topic or topics you'd like us to cover in the future, please reach out to us at lifeline911podcast@gmail.com. This has been a production of Lifeline 911 Podcast, copyright 2025. From all of us at Lifeline, stay safe out there. And until next time, this is Lifeline 911 signing off.